Welcome to Business Impacting the Space Coast, the podcast keeping you in the know on small business in Brevard County. Business Impacting the Space Coast is sponsored by Ideal Impact Media, your partner in video marketing and brand storytelling.
This week on Business Impacting the Space Coast, I'm here with Anthony Bogo, and we're talking all about tile. You are the owner of Studio Tile and Stone, and you guys specialize in importing Italian tile. And you yourself are from Italy. So I really want to know, what's the deal with Italian tile? What keeps you in the business?
Well, I think what keeps us in the business is the fact that we have been at this for a long period of time. We not only import, but we also buy from a tremendous amount of sources. And the fact that I'm from Italy, that's correct. I was born and raised in Naples, Italy. And I had the pleasure to come in this great country when I was 15 years old. I studied in high school, and shortly thereafter joined the U.S. Navy, and upon returning from the Navy, I tried to go to school and try to make ends meet as far as going to school and surviving, and I had to pick up a trade. So I actually got into floor covering. Floor covering then led me to have my own little company, which was a subcontracting company. And while I was studying at Penn State, I started to realize the potential that ceramic tile had, and the beauty that it had, and all the things that I could remember when I was a kid playing on these floors. And then, because I was going for a business major, I decided that that would be a wonderful connection if I can only go back to Italy on a professional way and start importing ceramic tile. And that's pretty much what happened. So I was very blessed to have been able to do that. So I spent many years working for Italian manufacturers and European manufacturers, bringing marketing concepts here in the States and setting up distribution, basically. So those connections still exist, and it kind of gives us a little bit of an edge because of the fact that we know so many people within the industry, overseas and as well as here in this country.
So you started installing tile. You had a relationship and a connection, obviously, to Italy and this unique, beautiful tile and stone. And now you're not just tile installers. You guys have a lot of different things that you offer. So tell me a little bit about that.
First of all, the installation part of my life was really the springboard that led me into the sales and the marketing, and then working for as an executive for many companies. Currently, we have our own installation crews, as well as we use some subcontracting firms to help us out during very busy days. But everybody is very strictly supervised by myself and some project managers that we have within our company. We cover pretty much the whole thing. We cover from the sales to the designing with tile to the actual installation and the supervision of it. Pretty much from A to Z, we're pretty much on a job site.
But you guys do a lot of detailed design work. Tell me a little bit more about how you guys really get involved to make sure it's not just expertly installed so that it's there as an investment for the homeowner and future buyers of that home, but actually coming up with how this is going to look best in those spaces.
Yeah, we're blessed by having some very talented people that can actually do that and spend a lot of time with our clients, discussing it, what it's going to look like, and how we can actually enhance the beauty of their current home. We also have the other side of it. We also have a commercial side to our business that does large-scale projects, like large condominium projects and some housing projects at this point. So we actually pretty much cover the whole thing as far as residential, new residential, then definitely the remodel, which is a big part of our business, and then the commercial side of it.
You mentioned being from Italy, but you have a connection to an area that has some of the most beautiful tile in the world. And I understand the Santa Chiara in Naples, Italy. Yes. I got to know more. Tell me more.
Well, first of all, my connection is actually the passion that I have for it. And I discovered that as I started to look at ceramic tile and remembering back. I grew up on floors that looked very much like this. Then when I came in the States, didn't see them because the trend was to go more into some, linoleums and carpeting and things of that sort. But as I was working as a subcontractor at the beginning, especially before I went to school, and picking up tiles, it just brought back some of the wonderful memories that I had in Italy. And yes, I played on these type of floors. I actually had the opportunity and privilege to be a altar boy at a wonderful basilica in Naples, Italy, that had a wonderful, we call it a chiostro. It's a beautiful garden where the first use of maiolica tile was actually done in a grandiose way. In other words, in a much bigger scale. And basically what that is a towel, well, very much like this one right here, that has several different colors on it. And for back then, which would be, actually, it's something that the process originated in the Middle East, and it's actually an underglaze that goes on a tile, and then that allows the artist to put on a variety of other colors, which are most often made out of minerals, so it doesn't run. In other words, exposed to high temperatures. If you want to have that underglaze underneath, they will actually run into one another. And as you can see by looking at this, that you see that the definition is very, very clear. You can see the lines. So that's what a maiolica towel is pretty much like. And it's something that I used to see pretty much every day because I was an altar boy from the time I was 9 years old till I was 13. So that brought back memories. As a matter of fact, our logo is actually a tiny image of one of the columns there. So yeah, to me it's a passion. I still get excited. So many years into the industry, I still get excited about the way it looks, and I get excited to go to international shows and see what we have come up with. And I get excited when we get a box of samples in a showroom. I'm one of the first ones to open it up to see, okay, what's it going to look like installed? So it's been a good thing.
Yeah, these are not just building materials to you. This sounds like a real passion.
No, it's a passion. That's been my life.
So tell me then, obviously you have been in the tile business for a long time. You've seen some trends come and go, and you really understand kind of what's timeless, and you have a real style that goes with it. Tell me, kind of where are things headed in this industry?
Well, it's headed into larger and larger formats, number one, on a large scale of things. We're seeing that the sizes are getting ridiculously large. Some tiles are actually 5 feet by 10 feet. So it takes a special type of knowledge in order to install them and obviously tools. But I think that, and that's something that's been evolving, and we're trying, and the industry is trying to find ways to accommodate the installations, because now we know how to make it, but now we got to learn how to install it, and we don't necessarily have all the right, recommendations for it. But we're obviously trying. But it's been a very interesting thing to see the trend and to see the consumption in the United States increase. I remember when I first started, the consumption was something like 3 square foot per capita, and now I believe we're up to about 12 or 13. I'm not quite sure. It's kind of changed over the last year. And what has really brought that on was the technology. In other words, tile is now becoming less expensive.
You mentioned you are an altar boy at the Santa Chiara, and there's that beautiful courtyard.
Yes.
You have to unpack that for me. I got to know more.
It's a magical place, if you can call it that. I remember as a child walking through it, being escorted by the monks from one side to the other. As a matter of fact, we had a soccer team, and the only way you can get to the field was to actually walk through it, but we could not do it by ourselves. The monks would take us and make sure that we didn't run around, although we tried. And the beauty of it is because it's so incredibly large and so incredibly detailed. There are really no two tiles that are alike. And basically you would have tens of thousands of tiles that are installed vertically, and some of them actually horizontally on some benches. Again, depicting stories of the lifestyles of the time. Yeah, it's quite something. It's something that I will never forget. I've kept it with me the whole time, and I think that's really one of the reasons I've been so incredibly involved in this industry. I think that has really brought me back. Again, the colors that you're seeing right here, or the colors that I've showed you before, are so intense, and they are throughout this place. They really are. So when you combine the beauty and the reason why this was created, this garden was created, so the monks, who were the only ones that could be there all the time, to meditate and whatever they would actually have their gardens there. So, you would go back and look from tomatoes to herbs to a variety of other vegetables, they would be there, but they would be in certain areas, pretty much hidden by the beauty of all these wonderful, wonderful tiles.
These hand-painted tiles really imprinted you on a young age.
Absolutely. There's really no question about it. And I do remember staring at them when I had the opportunity and wondered, about all the stories. And I can never tell all the stories because obviously we will go the same way all the time. And once in a great while, I remember sneaking in there with some friends, and we would look at them, and I would try to I would really be captured. I would really be captured by the sceneries that the artist was trying to put forth, and it definitely worked for me. He captured my attention.
And such a deep history. Now you have a lot of other looks and styles. I'd love to get a little bit more information on what you guys are liking these days.
Well, actually, these are some of the most decorative pieces that we have, and the lineup is actually endless. I was showing you this one before, and then as a true Maiolica. And again, I want to just point out that the back is different, therefore it is a glaze style. You can see the variety of colors, you can see the fine detail, and the reason why the underglaze, as we discussed, it was so important. Basically the same thing with this. This is actually on a different body. All of them being impervious, in other words, they will not stain, and that's the beauty of glazed ceramic tiles. You will also see some of these details on here, again, on a variety of different bodies, different sizes, different finishes. And then in that particular piece, there you're seeing some marble with some semi-precious stones, and it's a silver travertine all the way through it. It was meant to look as if it was 300 years old, but it's not. It feels like it's been hand worn. In other words, if you would have had a table where you actually would have, moved things back and forth, it's kind of same where you can see that the cuts have been made rather by hand instead of machine. And then finally on that one right there, it's a beautiful mosaic, which is from Sicci's, and Sicci is the only Italian manufacturer that is still producing fine glass mosaics.
You have a lot of options for floor coverings, cabinetry. Not everything is this intricate, is it?
No, not really. We brought some of the most beautiful and fascinating to me the designs that we have. We use them often for backsplashes, some decorative floors. But for the most part, a lot of our clients are selecting porcelain wood planks and stone look. High definition, very very realistic in its looks, and very very beautiful. We have it in our own house, and I'm sure you probably have something very much like it in your own. But no, these are works of art, and that's the way we work with them.
Very nice. Now, have you been back to the Santa Chiara recently? What is it like now?
Well, I have been back. I've been back a couple of times. It is now a museum, and actually there's a funny story about that. On one of the trips, we ended up going to it as a museum, and they actually had guides, state guides that would take you through, and they were telling the stories, of course, how it was built and so forth, and who painted him, and then they were starting to say that the monks would play soccer in that area, and sometimes the altar boys would join them, and of course I had to correct them that was never the case, because I was an altar boy there, and trust me, no monk would play soccer in that beautiful place.
Well, you're the historian.
Yes, I am.
Well, I really appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
It's been my pleasure.
So people can come in to your showroom. You're right there on Suntree Boulevard,
yes,
on the corner of Wickham and Suntree Boulevard in Suntree. You guys are revamping it. It's amazing now,
yes,
and it's going to be really amazing in a few more months.
Yes.
We could go on and on about
absolutely,
all your stories,
absolutely,
about tile and Santa Chiara, but people are just going to have to come in and learn it directly from you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be there and try to share as much as I can.
Awesome. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you.
Business impacting the Space Coast, where Brevard gets down to business. Sponsored by Ideal Impact Media, your partner in video marketing and brand storytelling.